Remember, thumbs up if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to ring that bell. Stay tuned, we're gonna start right now.
What you know you can't explain. But you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong. You don't know what it is, but it's there. Like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. Experience the awakening. Brilliant anonymous researchers. Patriots, join us in the Patriot Army. Trust the plan, pain coming. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. RedStateTalkRadio.com, Brighteon.tv, Rumble.com/MG Show. The end won't be for everyone. That choice to know will be yours. Where we go one, we go all. Fight, 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 and fight we will. We fight every day right here on the MG Show. Wow, guys. Welcome to the MG Show, where it is Shirtless Tuesday. What? That was on InfoWars yesterday, Shirtless Monday. Alex Jones came out with no shirt. I said, Shady, let's do our show with no shirts today. What do you think, Shady?
And I said, it's too bad that we're not in the same studio, sir.
I know, that way I can hover over you with no shirt.
Yeah, you could like come in behind me and I could like be all impressed with your physique. It would be amazing. How you doing, guys? Welcome to Tuesday. 2 for Tuesday, 100 for Tuesday, whatever you want to call it. Thank you so much for being here. But man, oh man, the winning is, we told you that the winning would continue and that there would be a lot of it. It would be a lot to handle. Well, we're here again today to report to you that that is the case. And the harder that these people come at us, the better off we are. So I'd like for everybody to just, take a little victory lap on your own, that you were able to navigate through these people's mindless meanderings for the last however long they've been pretending like they were MAGA, to finally arrive where we knew that we were the whole time. That was pointed out to us that these people are con artists and they are propagandists and they are communists at heart. And now they're telling us we're also very blessed, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I got a message right here from Rex Jones. I thought y'all wanted to come on. And I didn't see these for whatever reason. Embarrassing. You used AI to respond to me. Just come on the program. And yesterday said, it's so weak that you won't come on the network while it's still around. Do you question your own beliefs at all? No. Or are they just totally bought in? No, they're from my own research. I get it, but it's not even fun, he says. I said, hey, Rex, I never saw these messages until today. My apologies. I was a fan of InfoWars a long time ago until I saw the outright fear-mongering and scare tactics being used to manipulate people. Q called out InfoWars along with many others, of course. Q also said that the infiltrators that were once pro-Trump would turn against Trump at once. Isn't that what happened? Is that what happened, Shady?
That is what happened. Because they really weren't MAGA to begin with. Yeah. And that's fine. We have no issue with Democrats that don't like President Trump. We've had plenty of those. It's fine, but just be who you are. You see, this is the interesting thing about the whole. We were saying the whole time that they were faking it, that they weren't really for your president, and they stayed in their cave until Donald Trump started. The drug boats were getting them a little angry. Yeah. He was starting to anger them, but then whenever he decapitated the boogeyman of Iran, their little nest of death cult over there,
Yeah.
That really upset them.
So, now you've got, remember InfoWars fired Owen Schroyer, but now they're like basically, kind of working together. Alex Jones attacking Q, Shady Groove, was a direct attack on Trump supporters and Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Q drop number 2102 called it out. Quote, why are affiliates of InfoWars constantly attacking Q?
Mm-hmm.
And Q said, move on from AJ Patriots listened. Now InfoWars, Schroyer, Trump. They're attacking Trump over the onion deal. The onion deal has nothing to do with Trump, okay? This is Texas, not federal. Guys, it's so crazy. But the mask is off. Q was right. So I'm talking to Rex, Alex Jones' son, who's literally a walking Q-proof, Shady.
well, our whole audience is a walking Q-proof.
Yeah.
The reason that you're here, I believe, is because of what it was that we all, a huge amount of the core of this audience experienced together, and what we all actually witnessed. And listen, you want to talk about being a conspiracy theorist, or this idea, this nomenclature that's out there, this derogatory term, whatever, truther, the way that they characterize anything. The desire to find the truth belongs to you as an individual. You're allowed to do that per the American Constitution and our way of life. There's no issue with that. InfoWars has been utilizing truthful information and weaponizing it against you. In other words, much like what the Democrats do, they see something, and instead of properly put it into its context, they exaggerate the context and then be extraordinary about the context, and then pretend like there's context that is not really there so that they can add things onto it. When Q came to the conversation, Q did not undermine or debunk any real conspiracy. I mean, I'll be very clear about that. All of the conspiracies that we understood before Q came to post that were real were undergirded by the Q operation. The nonsense psychological operation conspiracy theories that were bogus, Q outed those in real time as they would come up per the posts. So what Q really did was organize the mindset of human beings to recognize that there were some of these things that were true, there were a lot of these things that weren't true, and that the people that were telling you the things that weren't true were closer to you than you think, i.e. InfoWars. Does that give a good explanation?
Yeah. And Shitty, let's this is why I made the shirtless joke.
If you're somebody, none of you took something from them. Right. You've already checked with lawyers, so they're in deep shit. I'm already suing the Democrat Party law firms, already got civil rights lawsuits. Do you think, look, just because you're wearing my shirt, don't mean you're me.
Could you imagine me doing that to you, Shady?
Look, but just think about the audacity of what's going on. Trump caused that.
Yeah, Trump did it. It's all Trump's fault.
Trump caused him to act like that.
Yeah, yeah. And you see, he's grifting off the low IQ. He's got hats and shirts already made. Low IQ. He's proud of it.
He is.
Wow.
And then that's all. And now they're like coming back up with this whole onion psyop.
Yep. And apparently this is the new logo right here.
Yeah.
Info.
Which is hilarious.
Oh my God, dude. It's crazy. So everybody is worried about just this crap. Okay.
They just want your mind.
They're not paying attention to what Donald Trump is actually doing or saying or actually helping America and your children. Nobody cares about that. They care about Candace Owens right now and Cucker to Carlson or whatever.
That's who they're running.
Yeah.
That's who they're going. That's who they think. They think that they can run these people. They think that they can make an administration and a cabinet out of these fools, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, what's her name? Candace Owens. Like these people, Megyn Kelly. They honestly think that they are more powerful than Trump. Like, it doesn't matter what you think. Remember, the real idea of how to organize and understand conspiracy is recognizing what they think and realizing what you think doesn't matter. And so what they think is they think they're more popular than Donald Trump and Alex Jones, and they can use this network, and this network can be cohesive with the Flynn networks, and they're going to all like stand up against us. And I mean, Candace Owens is claiming Hillary Clinton was the proper choice now, isn't she?
Yeah.
Literally, she's saying that out of her own mouth.
I will say this, Hillary Clinton was smart. She wasn't playing the part. Would she have totally made Bill step aside? 100%, 1000%. Who knows what it was, their relationship, as Elizabeth Lane said, nobody's ever accused him of being in love. She was highly ambitious, but she is highly intelligent. She is infinitely more intelligent than Bill. Okay. She knows policy. She knows what she's doing. She is, in fact, if we're talking about just based on intellect and experience, she would be qualified to hold a position in cabinet as she did. Like, that's not crazy. That's
not crazy. Okay. And by the way, Shady Grove, this is the same Hillary Clinton that was the deep state chosen one to install and finish selling out America. Highly intelligent. This is the same Hillary Clinton that lied to the world about Benghazi while Americans died. Hillary Clinton, this is the same one that was knee deep in every scandal from White House to Epstein flights. Candace used this to call it out. Now she's simping for the Clinton crime syndicate, Shady. Is it foreign funding and mental illness? That's got to be the only explanation. And I wish I get well soon, Candace. You know, the rest of us see the truth.
You're not getting well. There's no coming. This is not a disease. This is intentional. Candace literally said she knows policy and knows what she's doing. Out of all that little gommed up thing that she just said, that's her core of that. I wrote it down. She knows policy and she knows what she is doing. That was her talking point right there. I mean, can you imagine saying that with a straight face? I'm just saying, do you remember we talk about going in front of the mirror and saying these things? You honestly think that she believes this? Do you see how they're trying to turn the ship? They're trying to turn the ship back to the neocons, back to the uniparty. The Tavistock op has worn off. If it was not for Q, you guys would be in a bad way right now.
So if it's, let's talk about Q and Hillary Clinton. The core themes that Q dropped about Hillary Clinton was installed for total deep state takeover, okay? Email server treason and mid-year FBI cover-up, Russia hoax, Steele dossier, FISA abuse, media control and narrative warfare. That's in regards to the 1996 Telecom Act that Q pointed out, okay? And that was passed by Bill Clinton. That act lists media assets used by WikiLeaks, Podesta, HRC circles. Drop 4333 notes 2,200 plus MSDNC attacks on Q and direct attacks on HRC. HRC direct attacks as proof of information warfare to protect the cabal, which is exactly what Candace is doing right now. She's protecting these people. Early drops in the HRC arrest extradition prediction. Well, how come Hillary wasn't arrested? Well, maybe she was. You know, people get arrested and are released, and maybe she hasn't been yet. Clinton Foundation as the money laundering globalist hub. The bottom line, she just wasn't a candidate, guys. She was the deep state's chosen one, guys, to finish the destruction of American sovereignty. And Candace Owens thought she would never lose. She's showing now that they thought she would never lose. That's exactly what's happening when Shady means turning the ship. They are turning you back into Hillary Clinton supporters from Trump. It can't happen, can it?
Well, look at what look at who else has already come to the microphone to say it. Yeah. There's already a number of people that are coming to the microphone to say, "Oh, we just got to." Even Owen Schroyer, we've got to vote for Democrats. The only way out of this is to vote for Democrats. That's their big solution. You see, they don't have any new ideas. They can't expand on what Donald Trump has done and make MAGA something better. What they are planning to do is to get rid of it. Just like what the Democrats want. They want it gone. They want us to stop thinking in the terms of making America great. You are crazy if you think America can be great. We've got all these oil tankers and ghost fleets of ships that we submit to China that buy all this oil for nothing and make it look like their society is all grandiose and American society is somehow devolving. The reality is American society only devolves if you lose the concept of innocent until proven guilty. That's what they're trying to erode. They're trying to destroy your cynicism and make it to where you forget that you're innocent until proven guilty, no matter who you are. If you forget that, you'll do stuff like vigilanteism. You'll go out in the streets and you'll light things on fire because there's no recourse. You won't go to vote because you'll think that there's nothing to do, that there's no value to it. That's how they're really eroding our society, guys. And with what you're seeing right now, all these people that are there, they wanted Democrats the whole time, just like Jeff is saying. They wanted them the whole time.
So it is April, and we're seeing a lot of April showers, aren't we? We're seeing D-Class from Tulsi. We're seeing the Caroline Leavitt on the podium talking about the Russia hoax and the spy campaign. You're seeing Kash Patel saying arrests will be coming soon. April showers bring May flowers? So, again, you've got this. Breaking. The DOJ just slammed former CIA Director John Brennan with a grand jury subpoena. Okay, we know that's a subpoena. Witnesses from Intel and FBI called in over his lies to Congress about the fake 2017 Russia ICA and Steele dossier hoax that tried to steal the 2016 election from Trump. Q called it years ago with 42 posts about Brennan, by the way. Multiple direct pesky Q proofs. John Brennan is a traitor. Q post 1287. 1476 says FISA brings down the House. Brennan, Comey, McCabe, signatures on all the fraudulent warrants. 1950, Brennan's insurance policy against Trump. 233029. When does a bird sing? Brennan lies to Congress, now unraveling. 2645. Under Brennan, weaponizing against sovereignty. Follow the signatures. The boomerang is here. Trump's MAGA DOJ is draining the swamp and prosecute fully. No two-tier justice. So this is it right here. Grand jury subpoenas issued in the probe of former CIA head Brennan, and one leads to another, then another, then another, then another. Shady.
Well, because they're weak, and because he's going to blame Obama. See, Brennan's going to blame Obama. Brennan's going to say, "I was doing what I was told." Clapper's going to say, "I was doing what I was told." This is what Jeff means by that. This is how you get to the. And Obama's going to say, "Hey, Hillary told me to do it, man. Yeah, I was just helping Hillary, man." Like that's the way this is going to play out, and all of it has to play out in front of a jury. I don't care. I don't care any of it washes out. I just want them all to have to deal with it in front of a court system the way our president had to deal with it. I mean, our president went right to their court system, dealt with it perfectly, stood up for himself, supported the people around him that were standing up for him, told us the truth the whole time, navigated all the way, didn't have it, said it was a witch hunt, said they weren't going to get him. They didn't get him. So I'm just assuming on its face that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and all these people, John Brennan will be able to do the same thing. I mean, I'm seeing Kash Patel stand up for himself. Yep. When have you ever seen somebody stand up for themselves by levying a $200 million lawsuit against $250 against trash fake news media? So everybody's like, "Oh yeah, this is really screwing Kash over." No, it's not. This is going to force her to show she has a source.
Who's the source? Kyle Seraphin?
Yeah, if Kyle Seraphin is your sourse, then this is not going to go good for you.
Which ties to InfoWars and the whole network. Correct. And Candace Owens and Tucker. Are we starting to understand the picture, right? You guys get it. Our audience gets it.
They get it.
Rev Rob says, "I need new theories. My old ones turned into facts." I knew. We need new conspiracy theories.
They do turn into facts.
And G Brothers, thank you. KX2, thank you so much for that as well, with that subscription as well. We need you guys. Thank you so much. Real quick, Shady, let's just understand, I have not seen so many proofs come out in this administration, right? And this is a great comment right here from Bonster Q. Quote, "It just took Trump getting back into office after a stolen election for the proofs to start falling into place. It's happening. All of it." I couldn't agree with you more.
Agreed.
So
that's what we signed up for.
That's what I signed up for. Yeah. Shady, this is it right here. We got the new Kevin Warsh. Okay. So yep. I can't believe we kind of got a pesky Q proof. We don't have Gold Shell destroy the Fed yet. But he basically confirms Q post 1194, where an anon says Federal Reserve ending. Q replies, structure. What does structure mean? Does that mean reform? Reform the Fed? Structure?
Yes.
Huh. All right. So let's listen to this. Here we go.
Committed to ensuring that the conduct of monetary policy remains strictly independent. Equally committed to work with the administration and Congress on non-monetary matters that are part of the Fed's remit, and I commit myself to accountability. Finally, I'll just say this, Mr. Chairman. Milton Friedman had a phrase that always stayed with me. He always worried about government officials that lured and hung around with what he called the tyranny of the status quo. Status quo practices and policies are especially harmful when the world is changing this fast. If confirmed as chairman, I will be faithful to the Constitution, to the Federal Reserve Act, and to the very best of the Fed's traditions. I believe a reform-oriented Fed can make a real difference to the American people. And if confirmed, I will seek to create an environment in which the best people do their best work. To ensure.
So you heard that, right? That's a restructuring of the status quo where the Federal Reserve got politicized, okay? And then they used their weapon with not lowering interest rates against Donald J. Trump in administration number 1 and in this administration number 2. So it looks like we've got somebody that understands how the structure should actually work, Shady.
Well, you know what? So there's subtleties to that comment that he made there that a lot of people aren't going to pick up on. He mentioned Milton Friedman. So the moment he mentions the moment that the guy, the moment that the guy that's going to be the head of the Fed chair mentions Milton Friedman, you know that the con artists are in trouble. The cons, the fakers, the phonies, they're in trouble over there at the Fed. They're like, wait a minute, wait. They started panicking the moment that they heard him say that name. Why? Because Milton Friedman believed in the free economy. He believed in free enterprise. He believed that the monetary system shouldn't be chained down so that it wouldn't get too big, which is all of this nonsensical economic crap that they've been piling on us since we've been alive. So it's like our generation. That's the reason that you have nothing, is because they don't want anyone to be successful, because if anybody's successful, then all of a sudden scarcity doesn't control you anymore. That's not what would happen in an open free market. Okay. An open, properly regulated free enterprise country and monetary system would literally unchain all of us.
Yeah. Paula America says they can end the Fed. No. Did you not read the post? Structure. End the Fed. Structure. The Federal Reserve does have good tools for economies, but it needs the right people to run it and not weaponized against the President Trump, you, the American people, right? I mean, isn't that what we're kind of alluding to here?
Well, so effectively,
who wanted to end the Fed? Ron Paul. Where's Ron Paul today?
Well, so what Jeff is referring to is the ideas of the actual, if you go back to the implementation of the Federal Reserve and the way that they sold it to America. Okay? There was a mechanism there that does make sense in an economic standpoint. The only problem with the mechanism is the jackals that get the lever. If you got the wrong people controlling the lever, you're screwed 6 ways to Sunday. But if the right people were running the levers, you could be unchained and freed to actually have an economy that would be tempered against inflation, and it would be tempered against raw deteriorating employment issues.
So structure, okay, when you restructure something. So Shady mentioned Friedman, right? So Friedman saw the Federal Reserve as a well-intentioned but flawed institution, right? Whose powers had, I'm just going to read this here, whose powers had repeatedly destabilized the economy. His preferred alternative was rigid, rule-based system to deliver steady, predictable monetary growth, or ideally abolishing the threat altogether in favor of a less human intervention. His critiques remain influential in debates about central bank independence, rules versus discretion, and monetary reform, Shady.
I think I did okay summing that up.
Yeah, you did.
On the top of my head. Wow. Nice.
Yeah. You did good. So, quote, there is no institution in the United States that has such a high public standing and such a poor record of performance. It has done far more harm than good. And another quote from Friedman, no major institution in the U.S. has so poor of a record of performance for such a long period of time as the Federal Reserve, yet so high a public reputation. So he did not blame like individual policymakers. It was the institutional incentives and discretionary powers that led to the repeated mistakes. He believed the Fed's actions or inactions were the primary monetary driver behind major U.S. economic downturns and inflations. And what is President Trump trying to head off at the pass? Downturns and inflation.
Because that's what they use against you. So see, do you understand now? You can sort of see the dynamic. So the initiation of the Fed to control these things and make sure they don't get out of control became the levers that they used to throw things intentionally out of control. You got a lot of power whenever you can set your person up there in Congress for 20 years and let her just continue to take in all of these ahead of time foreknowledge of the markets, right? So as you see, there's a layer of understanding that these people have to a system that is corrupt. And the reason that they're fighting Donald Trump has absolutely 100% nothing to do with anything that they say. The reason they're fighting Donald Trump is because he is fighting this system directly, and they can't come out and say, no, stop screwing with our rigged Fed game.
That's right. So the one post, Shady Groove, is gold shall destroy the Fed. Did Milton Friedman ever talk about gold?
He did.
He did, right? He spoke extensively about gold and the gold standard, particularly in the context of monetary history, the Federal Reserve, and alternatives to discretionary central banking. He drew sharp distinction between what he called real or honest-to-God gold standard and pseudo-gold standards. A true gold standards, in Friedman's view, would mean gold itself serves as money. People paying directly with gold coins or bullion, paper currency acting as a literal 100% warehouse of receipts of gold held in the reserve. This would impose strict discipline on money supply, similar to long-term price stability he admired in commodity-based systems. A pseudo-gold standard, what the U.S. had, especially from 34 to 71 under the Bretton Woods. It involved government fixing an official price to hold $35 per ounce. People use paper money. Friedman saw this as nothing more than price control program for gold. This is how it destroys the Fed, okay? Having a real gold standard. But gold requiring extensive government intervention, including 1933 ban on private gold ownership, which we've talked about here many times, right, Shady? He strongly opposed the pegging and the markets, like the fake markets. He opposed it. Okay, so he wasn't in strong favor of returning to the gold standard in the modern world, but his main reasons were high resource costs, lack of short-term flexibility, practical feasibility. So it's just very interesting, Shady, how we've got somebody that is quoting Milton Friedman, and it's kind of lining up to what Q is kind of explaining with the Federal Reserve structure and gold shell and the Fed.
And it's like, obviously we have like what's going on, and we have like what's happened to us in the past, and then you have the perception of what it is. Like my perception, for instance, would be that I would prefer us not have the petrodollar. Like it seems like we're kind of sticking to this format of the dollar being the world reserve currency, quote unquote, and that's okay, but that does put us at a disadvantage. You have to be honest about economics. It puts us at a disadvantage because we're basically the nanny state of the world. In other words, we have to go enforce any fraudulent activity around said shenanigans of people, the oil, the petrodollar being what exists as opposed to a gold dollar, a gold-backed dollar. So I think that we're transitioning over to something similar to that. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to look. A gold-backed dollar that is a world reserve currency. The way that looks is crazy. Like I can't really explain to you what an advantage that would give us as a country against every other country in the world. How we utilize that going forward would be obviously our responsibility to take care of it. But it's very important to know that at the core of it, that gold in 1910, before the Federal Reserve in 1913, gold was worth $20 an ounce. One $20 bill was 1 ounce of gold. Today, gold is close to $5,000 per ounce. You have to understand this dynamic. The reason that exists is because of the con artists at the Fed for 100 years. That's the reason it's a problem. That's the reason Donald Trump's focusing on it. And that's the reason that they're pulling their hair out no matter what he does, because the last thing in the world they want him to do would be to give you back that wealth. Think about where did the wealth go, Shady? $30 or $20
Where did the
an
wealth
ounce?
go, Shady?
Jeff, $20 an ounce to $5,000 an ounce is a lot of wealth, bro. It went somewhere.
Very interesting, right?
Do the math.
Wow, guys. Wow. So I'm just looking at this. So this, he's confirmation today. The Honorable Kevin Warsh is being confirmed today. Let me just see what he's talking about here. Stability.
I listened to a little bit of this morning. I'm not going to give my whole take on this because I want to listen to the long form and hear what he says. I'm going to be critical of this guy. If he says things I don't like, I will tell you.
Yeah, that's
what
fine.
he says that I don't like, because like all these guys are slimy. So, like I said, I'm not going to jump on board. I'm not going to jump on board with anything until I get like my full heaping helping.
Full heaping helping.
I gotta get to the corners of it before I form an opinion.
All right, you got it. Let's go find it. Let's see. He testified.
But initially, because Trump likes him, I like him.
Well, I mean, there's something there about that. You know what I'm saying? Watch live, watch on YouTube. Let me go over to YouTube.
But unlike what all the people say, I don't just like go along with what I'm being told.
Yeah, let me see if I can get. Okay, they're actually leaving right now. Let me just try to find. This is Senator McCormick, and this is Kevin Warsh. Let's get Kevin Warsh's comments. Okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Americans. He is the right man for this pivotal moment. And I urge you not to get caught up in the politics of the moment and support his speedy confirmation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator McCormick. I will now swear in the nominee. Will you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony that you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Do you agree to appear and testify before any duly constituted committee of the Senate? You may sit down. Your written statement will be made part of the record in its entirety. Please keep your oral comments to 5 minutes. Mr. Warsh, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your consideration today. I've known you for quite a while, and I certainly appreciate the many courtesies you've given me, not just since the President's nomination, but long before. It's an honor to be with you, with Ranking Member Warren, and with the entire committee. I'm deeply grateful to President Trump for asking me to take on this public trust, because that's what it is, a public trust.
He's not kidding about that in more than one way. Trust from the public and the public trust, Shady.
Well, I could say immediately, I have never. Did you ever hear Henry Paulson say that it's a public trust?
No.
Have you ever heard Too Late Powell say that the Fed is a public trust? Have you ever heard him ever say that? No, none of them have ever said that. That's exactly what it is supposed to be. That's what it was intended to be, but that is not what it's become.
That's right. It's been a trust for them. Shady Group.
It's been our little
the United
trust
States
fund,
of America and body politic trust, guys.
Yes.
Okay.
We've been saying that.
Wow.
Believes
like it so far.
that real economic growth in the U.S. and real take-home pay will accelerate. I share the President's confidence in our country and its people. America's economic growth potential is rising as we sit here today. I'm also especially happy that my wife Jane is here. She's been with me for many of the most important moments in my life. I'm grateful for her love and her personal accomplishments. I reciprocate that with somewhat of my own love, though I'm a little more stoic than she. And about every 20 years, I reintroduce her to this committee. She sat behind me 20 years ago, and it was almost 20 years ago to the day. And so let me offer today what I
Yeah, so in 2022, Warsh married Jane Lauder, the younger daughter of Ronald Lauder and granddaughter of heiress of Estee Lauder, a longtime employee of Estee Lauder Companies, and the couple lives in Manhattan. Interesting, Shady.
Then, Jane, happy anniversary.
Interesting that he mentions it.
I'm also thinking of my late mom and dad. They were paying great attention to this hearing 20 years ago. They're no longer with us. But I was always proud of them and the values they taught me, and I hope they'd be proud of me today. We start today with a note of broad agreement, even though we might have heard different narratives at the outset of this hearing. This is a time of great consequence for the nation's economy. As a former Fed governor and friend or colleague of the last 5 Fed chiefs, from whom I've learned plenty of lessons, I'm particularly alert to the challenges and opportunities confronting the institution that I cherish, the Federal Reserve. To the President, to the Congress, the nation, I owe my best judgment and my most faithful efforts in serving the mission that you and Congress assigned to the Federal Reserve, including full employment and stable prices. The American people are counting on the Fed to deliver on its commitments, perhaps now more than ever. The real highlights of my life are not on my resume, as Senator McCormick said. They include the individuals with whom I worked and from whom I learned. I graduated from high school in upstate New York. I had some exceptional teachers there and some brilliant classmates. I've learned we're lucky in life if we start out with good influences in learning and in character. A public school education gave me both of these, and I'm grateful. I made my way to Stanford and found myself in the company of some of the most highly accomplished economists and policymakers. George Shultz, former Secretary of State and Treasury, was among the great patriots at the Hoover Institution, who I came to know as a teacher, mentor, and friend. He passed away right after COVID at age 100, but I still feel him with me. I could not have imagined a better formative experience than working from and learning from folks like him. I could tell you about all the things I learned, but maybe the most important was to be around people completely devoted to the ideas and ideals of our country. Silicon Valley in the early 90s, another fitting backdrop for all the things we confront today. I found myself in the right place at the right time. The US was at the vanguard of a new era of technological leadership, and I just looked out my door to see it. And in the last 15 years, I've gained deep experience in macro and in markets, working with Stan Druckenmiller. He never held a position in government, but is no less a patriot. He never got a PhD in economics, but I don't know a finer economic thinker. Without their guidance and the guidance of Condi Rice, my friend and I should say my boss at the Hoover Institution, I doubt I would be sitting before you today as the president's Fed Chairman nominee. But I'm certain of one thing. Absent their tutelage, absent their example, I would not be as prepared for the urgent, mission-critical task at hand. In between these bookend experiences, I served quite a while ago as a governor at the Federal Reserve. At the onset of the financial crisis. As Senator Warren said, our central bank played an indispensable role, and we benefited enormously from the credibility that our predecessors had built up and passed down to us, governors of the Fed at the time. In these unusual and exigent circumstances, I saw the Fed and its people at their very best. But I also witnessed an institution that was tempted to play a larger role in the economy and society. So let me be very clear. Monetary policy independence is essential. Monetary policy makers must act in the nation's interest. Their decisions the product of rigor, deliberation, and unclouded decision-making. And as Senator Warren said, I do not believe that independence of monetary policy is threatened when elected officials state their views on rates. Fed independence is up to the Fed. That has three implications. First, Congress is tasked with the mission to ensure price stability. Inflation is the Fed's choice. Second, Fed independence is at its peak in the conduct of monetary policy. And third, as the chairman said, the Fed must stay in its lane. I'm committed to ensuring that the conduct of monetary policy remains strictly independent, equally committed to work with the administration and Congress on non-monetary matters that are part of the Fed's remit, and I commit myself to accountability. Finally, I'll just say this, Mr. Chairman. Milton Friedman had a phrase that always stayed with me. He always worried about government officials that lured and hung around with what he called the tyranny of the status quo. Status quo practices and policies are especially harmful when the world is changing this fast. If confirmed as chairman, I will be faithful to the Constitution, to the Federal Reserve Act, and to the very best of the Fed's traditions. I believe a reform-oriented Fed can make a real difference to the American people. And if confirmed, I will seek to create an environment in which the best people do their best work. Candor and goodwill will go a long way in pursuing those objectives. And I suspect this hearing, Mr. Chairman, will put us to the test. It's a real privilege to be here.
Thank you, sir. I will say that we typically stick to a 5-minute opening comments. I would encourage all of us to stick with our...
All right, so there was his opening statement, Shady Grove.
Wow. So pretty encouraged by that. quoting Friedman again at the end, explaining that the status quo tyranny, the tyranny of the status quo, I think is something that we all should be talking about, because that effectively means the tyranny of right now, or what has been, without any intention to make things better. You know, the Federal Reserve should be there with the intention to make things better for you. And the reality is they've been there with the intention to make things better for other people. If we get that orientation correct, and it works seamlessly with the economy in a way that actually onboards wealth for the dollar and the American people, that would be, I mean, that would be a little bit in the area of what we signed up for.
That's right. Let's continue with his.
There's another really important part of the future of our economy. I will spend some time talking about affordability and the importance of the independence of the Fed. One of the things I've appreciated about your previous comments is the importance that you have placed on the dual mandate, stable prices, which typically comes through the form of interest rate changes, as well as promoting maximum employment. I think those two will become more challenging in the current environment. One, obviously, the second one being the AI and the future of full employment. You've criticized the Federal Reserve for getting too big, mismanaging inflation. I'm sure you know the definition of transitory, so I won't ask you, but I got a feeling you know, and some of your predecessors did not. Compromising the independence of the Fed. I think we should spend more time on finance, less time on climate change, on politics, on who is or who's not in charge. I think you would agree on those issues, though I will not ask you. I will ask you, however, that under your leadership, how will you steer the Federal Reserve to address the real life issues of affordability is my first question. And my second question will be about how do you make sure that the Federal Reserve stays out of the lane of external influences?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's probably no more pressing question than the cost of living. We know at the Federal Reserve that price stability was an objective that you and your colleagues gave to the Fed. So when, over the course of the last several years, especially after COVID, when prices went up to the tune of 25 to 35% for virtually all deciles of the American people, that's an indication that the Fed missed its mark. And we are still dealing with the legacy of the policy errors in 2021 and 2022. Once you let inflation take hold in the economy, it's more expensive and harder to bring it down. And so the fatal policy error going back 4 or 5 years is still a legacy that we're dealing with. We need, in my judgment, fundamental policy reforms to fix it. And while it's true that inflation is less problematic, meaning the rate of change in prices is less severe than it was some years ago, hardworking Americans are no doubt feeling it. I think that means a regime change in the conduct of policy. I think that means a different new inflation framework. I look forward to working with my colleagues at the Fed, if confirmed, to achieve that. I think it means, as you suggested, using tools differently. The Fed has an interest rate tool and a balance sheet tool. My view is the interest rate tool gets in the cracks. It's fairer. The balance sheet tool disproportionately helps those with financial assets. The interest rate tool hits the entire economy. So we need a new framework, new tools, and I'd also say, Mr. Chairman, new communications.
Yes.
I think part of the reason why, after making a mistake in 2021 and 22, the mistake was compounded, is the Fed gives its forward guidance. The Fed tells the whole world what their dots are going to be, what their forecasts are going to be. Well, the Fed's human. Then they hold on to those forecasts longer than they should. I think if the Fed were to wait until it gets into a meeting before making a decision, that incremental deliberation can keep the central bank from compounding its errors. I think these are big changes that are needed, and if confirmed, I look forward to doing it.
Thank you very much.
That's also very encouraging right there.
That is actually identifying the issue. Part of the reason that Trump was saying too late. That's part of why Trump says too late, because you didn't do what you're supposed to do. This is part of why we're talking about that the Federal Reserve can be bad if the people that are controlling the levers have a political agenda to make one political party look better or another political party look worse, or utilizing media optics for your financial guidance system. Like media optics should not guide the financial the financial winds of the Federal Reserve. It should be guided by inflation and employment, like its charter states.
Mm-hmm. Let's listen to Pocahontas. Let's see what she has to say.
Oh no!
Come on now,
this
is gonna be good.
How long are we going to ride this
thank
pony?
you, Mr. Chairman. So the Fed has been plagued by deeply disturbing ethics scandals in recent years involving at least 6 Fed officials. So it's critical that the next chair have no financial conflicts, none. You have more than $100 million in investments that you have refused to disclose to ethics officials and to the public. So let me ask, do the Juggernaut Fund or the THSDFS LLC invest in any companies affiliated with President Trump or his family, companies that have facilitated money laundering, Chinese-controlled companies, or financing vehicles established by Jeffrey Epstein?
Senator Warren, thank you. So let me first share a point of agreement with you. The Fed has 2 tools. One is its monetary policy, and the second is its credibility. And the scandals that you talked about, the ethics
Mr.
problems
Warsh,
you
I
talked
appreciate
about,
that, but I
went to
have very
the core of the
limited time.
credibility that has hurt the
Could you
Fed.
answer my question, please? I asked. You have $100 million in undisclosed assets. And what I'm asking is, are any of those with this outfit that invests in companies affiliated with President Trump or his family, companies that have facilitated money laundering, Chinese-controlled companies, or financing vehicles set up by Jeffrey Epstein? It's a yes or no question.
Answer the question.
I have worked tirelessly with the ethics officials at the Office of Government
Yes,
Ethics.
and you have not
come to an ethics agreement
$100
with
million
them and
in
have
assets.
agreed, Senator, to sell all of
That's
my
not
financial
my
assets,
question. Mr.
including
Warsh, are
the
you
Duquesne
refusing
assets.
to tell us if you have investments, for example, in vehicles set up to advance Jeffrey Epstein? Is that what you're telling us? You just won't tell us?
No, he didn't
Senator,
say
what
that.
I'm telling you is that those assets that you represent at Juggernaut will be sold if I'm
All right,
confirmed
let me
before I take
follow up.
office and sign the oath of
Let
office.
me
You don't wanna hear
follow
that,
up
dude.
on that. Will you at least disclose how you plan to disclose and divest?
What the hell are you
assets?
talking about, lady?
I'm sure you understand that the public might
hit
question
sell.
your motives if, for
Out of my-
example, billionaire Stanley Druckenmiller, who you honored in your
I'm
opening
getting
statement,
dumber over here.
and who makes a living guessing what the Fed will do next, cuts you a massive check for $100 million as you take the oath of office to become the new Federal Reserve Chair.
Senator, as you know, it sounds
We
like
wouldn't want to have somebody that's good in investing running our country, would you?
No. You would
Jeez.
want to have some. No, you need to go find the guy that like can barely manage his cardboard box on the weekend. Like that's the guy you wouldn't want anybody that had any wealth to manage the country's wealth.
like your fight might not be with me, but the Office of Government Ethics. I have come to full agreement with them and have agreed to divest all of those assets.
I'm asking
especially
you a very
those that you
straightforward
reference
question,
before
Mr.
I take
Warsh.
the oath of
Answer the
office.
question.
And that is, will you disclose how you divest those assets, or will you just collect the check for $100 million?
It doesn't matter to you. Why?
This whole business is betting
Is this
on what
America?
the Fed will do.
As I said,
He has to
the
tell you
ethics
how he's gonna
officials of the
divest?
Federal Reserve and the Office of Government.
You go on your computer and you hit sell.
I was going to say, is it pretty? I mean, you like, there's a button and you like say, I have this stuff invested and now I want my money back, and you hit sell, and then the government charges you out the for whatever you're selling, and then you pay the fine or fee or tax or whatever, and then you've sold it. What do you want to disclose, lady? What's the matter with these
How about
people?
your assets, Elizabeth Warren? Why don't you disclose that?
No, we can't talk about that.
What?
No.
We can't talk about how she's
Her
funded
investments. Nope.
and how she ran the slush fund for the EPA that all that money left after Biden to a
Nope. You can't talk about
nonprofit 501c.
And then and the way they're using their campaign financing, nope, not allowed to talk about that. Or the 501c4s, nope, not allowed to talk about that. But we got to find out how this guy is going to. Or will you disclose the disclosure of how you're going to disclosing this disclosure of the disclosure? Will you disclose that or no?
What?
Please answer the question.
Oh my God! Wow.
I mean, they really do think that people are buying into this. Like, oh, you really think that you think we're going to think you're legitimate asking a real question.
So here's Elizabeth Warren.
I want to know what is going. How are you going to sell your assets? I'm Elizabeth Warren.
All right, so sorry, Shady Grove.
No, I think that's okay. I think you're doing pretty good. Basically, Jeff is trying to say that this crazy lady has deep investments into China, and she isn't going to talk about that without saying it. Rock the Casbah, bro.
Rock the Casbah. Wow. Now, that is considered racism. She's a Native American, for crying out loud. I apologize.
But no, it's not really racism if you're like tagging her with the wrong stereotypical music in the background this year.
Oh, so we should have done something else.
Yes, if you're going to be properly stereotypically bigoted.
So we should have done some Indian music or something, Shady?
Yeah, maybe like a nice Cherokee ceremony or something.
Wait a second.
Maybe some flutes or...
Okay,
so this is devolving quickly, folks. That's the wrong Indian.
That kind of Indian music, Shady? No. Not that kind of Indian music?
Not Indian. Christopher Columbus. It's an American Indian.
Hey, how are ya? How you doing? Wow. So
those
Elizabeth,
Indians, yes, those.
Pocahontas is insane and very interesting to learn a little bit about the Honorable Kevin Warsh. Is it Wash or Warsh?
I think it's Warsh.
But
Warsh, I don't know. Isn't there an R in there?
My mom always said it's wash, not
you gotta
wash.
wash yourself.
Washing machine.
That's a McKine. Washing McKine.
A. Clegg says, I'm literally been listening as I drive, and I'm literally dying right now. We'll drive safe. Be careful, because we go off the rails here on the MG show every now and again.
Run sideways once in a while. The Warren, I mean, that's killing me, man. The disclosure of your disclosure. Like, you're just like trying to wind up a freaking... It's like a Russian dolls, you like open one and there's one smaller one in there. Like, what the hell?
Ali Carr, thank you for the subscription to the MG show, because we need to get Rio Durani. I always do that. Clothed. Okay, guys, we need to get you guys clothed because we got naked people here in the chat. Thank you guys very much for supporting the show. We are going to go over to in the next hour, Shady. This is going to be big. We've got the Squawk Box interview.
Oh yeah,
Squawk Box.
He better treat Trump better this time.
Well, what you're going to find out is Trump talks about what may have been found on that ship, the Tuska.
That we talked about yesterday.
The one that we talked about yesterday.
You mean the one that we were explaining that more than likely was like of this whole ghost fleet ship bunch that probably is bringing illegal weapons from China so that their munitions are running low and China's required to resupply if things ever go sideways type thing?
So you're not going to want to miss hour number 2. Quote, we caught a ship yesterday that had some things on it, which wasn't very nice. A gift from China. What does that tell you, Shady, huh?
It tells me that you're getting close, but you're not there yet.
Wow.
You like fade off into like some other thing.
The Tuska, almost 1,000 feet long and weighs as much as an aircraft carrier. And it's been under U.S. and European sanctions. It was up to no good. The Tuska was traveling from China. The Washington Post says it was loaded with dual-use chemicals used to manufacture ballistic missiles. Beijing just got caught doing us dirty, and Trump will make them pay.
So we were right yesterday, Shady. So we did this show, 9 hours before Jesse? Wait, 8 hours?
We're always preempting Jesse.
Yeah. He even used bigger than aircraft carrier. It's crazy. So we talked about this yesterday, April 19th. We posted it. I posted it on the 19th, talking about the Tuska and how it's been under sanctions. And it looks like we're always wrong, Shady, until...
We're right, except you said 19th and it was the 20th.
Well, that's when I said it. That's when I posted it on the 19th.
Oh, that's what you
said it on the 20th. How's that?
Oh, now that lines right up with what really happened.
Huh? Wow, guys. All right. So you guys are amazing. Thank you very much for supporting the MG show. We're going to take let me just do this and then we'll go to break, Shady Groove, because this is the Rumble wallet, guys. We need this Rumble wallet. You need it because they can freeze your accounts, shut off your cards, lock you out of your own money overnight. Banks don't protect you. They control you. That's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. And introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With the Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can own Tether Gold, which is like real gold on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't paper gold. This is not an IOU. This is real gold without bank vault storage fees or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or even when traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can be redeemed for physical gold. That is the power. When you support creators like the MG Show on Rumble, you can tip us directly using the Rumble Wallet, peer-to-peer and outside the banking system. No permissions, no middlemen, no cancel button. The wallet is yours forever. And we'll be right back after these beautiful boom messages.
God bless.
Hello to all of you beautiful patriots out there.
First of all, let me just thank you all for supporting this show. We wouldn't be here without you. But I have a huge announcement regarding donations.
It has come to our attention that using the Rumble app is taking an additional 30% of your donation to the show.
Let me explain. According to our TOS, Rumble takes 20% of all donations made through the web browser.
And that's at 20%. It's a good deal if you consider other platforms like YouTube and such.
There is a hidden cost that we just found out. For example, we received the generous $500 donation from Spill Tea, and thank you so much for that, from the Rumble app on Apple. So Rumble took 20% and Apple took an additional 30%. We brought that to Rumble and they said, well, Rumble's take of tips and donations is 20%. That's if the transaction is done through the web browser. If using the Android or iOS app, it's an additional 30% collected by those platforms.
So please use the web browser to make your donations to the show and avoid the hidden fees by Apple and Android.
That's right. You can also support us at GiveSendGo/HelpMGShow, mg.show/donate. We have PayPal and Cash App. Both are at RealMGShow or $RealMGShow. Please help us out. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
The MG Show. Not funded by dark money, but funded by listeners like you.
For the first time ever, we're bringing you My Pillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our My Pillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our My Pillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
is dead, but the fight ain't over yet. Smoke clearing, logo switching. Welcome to the real alternative. They try to bury the truth in the $1 billion grave. Sandy Hook judges liquidate, enslave. Alex went down swinging, but the message don't die. Now the matrix is cracking and the people ask why. Trump called him out cold on Truth Social Blast. Low IQ nut jobs fighting them in the past. From the ashes of Austin, new voices ignite. Jeffrey and Shannon holding the line. No sponsors pulling strings, no globalist chains. Just raw, uncut truth running through your veins. MG Show, hey, the alternative. InfoWars gone, but we still live. Truth bombs dropping, red pills flying high. Wake up America, this is your battle cry. MG Show, hey, turn it up loud. From the heartland to the crowd. They can't cancel the message, can't kill the fight. We the people, we the light. Hey. Border invasion, deep state games. Old guard flipped on Trump when the pressure came. Were they MAGA all along or infiltrators in disguise? Talking 25th Amendment, pushing Iran lies. Trump's back in the game, steering America first. Jeffrey and Shannon breaking it down till the job is done. No more filters, no more controlled op lies. We expose the pedals in their suits and ties. Chat's going crazy, the real norm is awake. Type MG in the comments, seal your fate. InfoWars is dead, but freedom's just getting started. Smoke rising, new era, new guard. The matrix is glitching, we hit 'em hard. Trump called the flip, expose the game. Infiltrators scatter when they hear his name. MG Show, hey, the alternative. InfoWars gone, but we still live. Truth bombs dropping, red pills flying high. Wake up America, this is your battle cry. MG Show, hey, turn it up loud. From the heartland to the crowd. They can't cancel the message, can't kill the fight. We the people, we the light. InfoWars is dead. Long live the MG Show. Jeffrey and Shannon side by side. Real MAGA warriors, no place to hide. Drop the link, share the stream. This is the alternative. Let's go.
Oh, InfoWars is dead. Tune into the alternative, the MG Show. Java Joe got Deep Blue Realm clothed. Thank you for the Red Castle donation, the subscription donation. Help an Anon patriot get clothed today, right here on the MG Show. Thank you very much, Java Joe. Appreciate you. Shady, InfoWars is dead.
InfoWars is dead. Thank you so much. What an hour of broadcasting, ladies and gentlemen, to get you caught up on today's events. I'd like to thank each and every one of you. I'd also like to greatly say to all of you out there that please support independent citizen patriot journalism. We can hear you, Yeti. And also, let's not forget, we have to support our Yeti.
Yes.
We have to pay Yeti every day, guys. So make sure that you help us support our Yeti. Otherwise, he's going to go. We're going to have to throw him out in the cold.
Oh, boy, and he'll really be moist. Wet,
I know,
wet Yeti.
because it's humid
Wet.
this time of year.
Wet Yeti.
Wet Yeti.
Wet Yeti. All right. So thank you guys very much for clothing Deep Blue Realm. We need our Anon Patriot friends all clothed with their red castles on there. Thank you guys very much. We also had Ross Pierce says, "Dong great, guys. Dong great, guys." Many thanks. Do you mean doing great? I hope. I don't know. Dong great. Dong. Okay. Just checking, Shady Group, because you never know with these peeps out here.
You
know
need
what I'm
to be
saying?
looking at nationality before you go making. We're getting in a lot of trouble here today.
Not that Indian music. All right, so here we go. Yetis Lives Matter. That's right, Scottish Anon. All right, so let's watch this in full. This is Donald J. Trump's interview on Squawk Box, Shady Groove.
Yeah, and
Who watches Squawk Box? I mean,
I'm
I
not
don't
really sure. who watches this, but we're gonna like take it apart, and this guy better be on his best behavior.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit rubbed raw from this numbnut last time.
No raw rubbing.
Yeah, well, he coming after my president whenever he's trying to tell you what it is that we're going to do, and you're acting like you know better is a problem.
Yeah. So listen up. We will pause it or talk about it when President Trump makes that interesting, but maybe a cryptic statement about China and the reference in a series of Tuesday morning Iran-related statements giving to CNBC, which is where Squawk Box is. But he stated that U.S. forces intercepted the vessel yesterday, right? We talked about that yesterday on the show. And he described it as a gift from China to Iran as Tehran seeks to build its military during ceasefire. Very interesting, Shady. Here we go. You ready?
It is. It's all very interesting because what we're going to see is I think we're going to see a bit of an unpackaging. What kind of packages were they sending Iran, considering that they have mutual wartime contracts and negotiations?
Yeah. Wow. Here we go. Ready?
I am.
Let's go.
Join us now
Get
on
with
the
it.
Squawk Newsline. President Donald J. Trump. President Trump, welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you very much, Joe.
You are very welcome. Can you give us, I think it's on everyone's mind, the latest on where the Iran negotiations stand? We now know Tehran has publicly confirmed that it will send representatives to the meeting with Vice President Vance. What do you expect? What are you hearing at this point, sir?
Well, as I said 2 days ago when they said they won't send them, I said they'll be sending them. They have no choice but to send them. What I think is that we're going to end up with a great deal. I think they have no choice. We've taken out their Navy. We've taken out their Air Force. We've taken out their leaders, frankly, which does complicate things in one way, but these leaders are much more rational. It is regime change, no matter what you want to call it, which is not something I said I was going to do, but I've done it. Indirectly, maybe, but I've done it. And I think we're in a very strong negotiating position to do what other presidents should have done during a 47-year period. We have 47 years where these bloodthirsty people have been killing a lot of soldiers, a lot of our soldiers, and a lot of other people. They've killed 42,000 people over the last 2 months. And, you get to a point where people don't want to mention that. They don't like mentioning that. 42,000 unarmed protesters, innocent unarmed protesters, many of them hung. So we're not dealing with the nicest group of people, but we're dealing with them very successfully, and the blockade has been a tremendous success. They said 2 days ago, we will open the strait. I said, no, we're not going to open the strait until we have a final deal. No, we want to open the strait. They said, we're not opening. We totally control the strait, just so you understand, for all the fake news out there.
And, Mr. President, we've seen 100 days of the largest protests in Iran since the revolution in 1979. And I know how much you respect and admire and are concerned with the Iranian people themselves. And this is, I think, in large degree, one of the reasons you decided to embark on this whole thing, maybe among other things, but the timing was right. If we get close in negotiations right now, but the deadline for the ceasefire is tomorrow, if it looks like things are progressing, will you not necessarily extend it to a definitive amount of time, but will you let it keep going if there's progress in the talks before taking...
Well, I don't want to do that. We don't have that much time because by the time both parties get there, as you know, they just got the okay to go forward, which I knew they were going to do anyway. I mean, I don't think they had a choice. They have to negotiate. And, the one thing I'll say is this. Iran can get themselves on a very good footing if they make a deal. They can make themselves into a strong nation again, a wonderful nation again. They have incredible people. But they seem to be, bloodthirsty. They're led by some very, very, unfortunately, tough people. And I don't mean tough in a good way. I think it's very negative for the country because we're much tougher than they are. Like, not even close. But they have to use reason and they have to use common sense, and they can get themselves into a great position to make themselves into a great country, but a legitimate country, not a country based on death and horror.
And I think regimes only respond to certain things, and I understand your your threats to bomb the bridges in the electric grid, but I don't think the regime cares about the people of Iran. And if you did that, I'm sure it's the last thing you'd probably want to do, but it would hurt at least some of the people that we care about and why we embarked on this in the first place. So that would be, I'm sure, a last resort for you.
It's not my choice, but it will also hurt them. It'll hurt them militarily. They use the bridges for their weapons, for their missile movements. You know, they're trying to move the missiles because we've obliterated most of their missiles, and they're trying to move their missiles around, even during the ceasefire, which I think was a good thing because we're totally loaded up. We have so much ammo. We have so much of everything that we've, like, much more powerful than it was 4 or 5 weeks ago. So we've used this to restock, and they probably have done a little bit of restocking. We caught a ship yesterday that had some things on it, which wasn't very...
Here it is. All right. Let me just back it up just a hair.
4 or 5 weeks ago. So we've used this to restock, and they probably have done a little bit of restocking. We caught a ship yesterday that had some things on it, which wasn't very nice. A gift from China, perhaps. I don't know. But I was a little surprised, but because I have a very good relationship, and I thought I had an understanding with President Xi, but that's all right. That's the way war goes, right? But I will tell you that we have, our military is incredible, what we've done. I mean, think of it. In the first 3 days, we took out their entire Navy, 159 ships. 159 ships, and wiped out their Air Force, wiped out their anti-aircraft, all of their anti-aircraft apparatus is all gone. All of their radar is gone. Their leaders are gone. You know, their leaders are gone. The whole thing is gone. And frankly, this should have been done a long time ago. It would have been a lot easier because they were a lot less lethal a long time ago.
So to be clear, you're saying that you need at least the prospects for a signed deal today and tomorrow, or else you would resume bombing Iran.
Well, I expect to be bombing because I think that's a better attitude to go in with. But we're ready to go. I mean, the military is raring to go. They are absolutely incredible. You know, I built the military in my first term. I'm using it now. The military, when I took it over from Barack Hussein Obama, it was so depleted, so sad. And I built it in my first term. You remember those big numbers. You talked to me about it once. That's a lot of money for military. I built it. We did a great job with our military. And we're using it now and rebuilding it, too. We've done a lot of rebuilding also in my first year of the second term. But we have we have the most powerful military in the world. Everybody knows it.
Since we're kind of tight on time, can we just talk about what something else happening today, and that is your pick for Fed Chair Kevin Warsh on Capitol Hill. We've had a couple of guests today say the best thing that we need now is for Jay Powell to leave in May, like he's supposed to, and to have Kevin Warsh in as Fed Chair for that next June meeting. But we still have this Justice Department probe hanging over. And I've seen things that you said in recent interviews, Mr. President, and I want to ask you again, if it would be possible for the Banking Committee to completely investigate all of your concerns about the cost overruns and the testimony of Jay Powell in front of Congress, if you could take that off-ramp to get this moving, and Jay Powell leaves, Kevin Warsh goes in, is that something you'd consider dropping for the DOJ probe to let the Banking Committee handle it?
From the standpoint, Joe, from the standpoint that we have to find out why a small building cost close to $4 billion. It's not finished, by the way. They have a long way to go. They ripped down the most beautiful ceilings. They'll never build them again. The most beautiful, thick, 1.5 foot thick walls of solid masonry. They're never going to be built again. They put up 6-inch sheetrock walls, and they say, so we have no insulation. It's not in the budget. I mean, these walls, they had the best. That building was so beautiful. I would have fixed that building. I would have had it brand new, beautiful for $25 million, and they're going to spend close to $4 billion, maybe more than that. I don't know. It's not finished. In fact, I looked at it the other day. I'm afraid Kevin will have to have an office next to me in the White House because that building's not going to be done. He's not going to be able to use that building for a long time. And, you know, he had a complaint. He said, I didn't realize this. He said, the saddest thing is they ripped down the best building. He said there was a building that had beautiful boardrooms that he used many times when he was there, that beautiful boardrooms and meeting rooms. It was so beautiful. the nicest in Washington. And he said they ripped it down. And maybe they did that to save money, like the Gavin Newsom, the railroad, where they made it shorter in order to save money, but it's still 25 times over budget. But the worst I've ever heard is the railroad in California, and I think this might be worse. Think of it. I would have fixed that building, beautiful, quickly. $25 million would have been like a brand new building. I would have, all the ceilings would have been left, all those beautiful thick walls with gorgeous moldings would have been left. You're going to get a sheetrock ceiling, a sheetrock wall without insulation. They said, sir, insulation's not in the budget. Insulation costs you $100 a room. The whole thing is crazy, and they're at $4. I think it's going to cost more than $4 billion when it's finished.
But it would
somehow but Joe, somehow we have to find out how this can happen. It's not the first time. How does this happen? Did the contractor make $3.5 billion?
Right. If the banking committee could take it over.
I can't imagine that Too Late is taking money on construction. I can't. But it's possible. But we have to find out, why is a job that should have cost $25 million costing billions and billions of dollars? I built the hotel. It's now the Waldorf. I sold it to Waldorf, and it's now the Waldorf. I built it for $201 million. It's a bigger building than the Federal, and it was hotel rooms with bathrooms and, partitions, and it's much more expensive to build a hotel room than it is a nice empty office space, right? And I built that for $201 million. This now is 8 years ago or so, but think of it, this building, you look at it, it's a little building. I think it's going to cost over $400 billion. And here's the thing, it's going to be nothing compared to what it was. They spent $4 billion, and it's nothing compared to what it was. It was beautiful. It had beautiful ceilings. They were all destroyed. They took them down. I don't know why.
If the DOJ, though, if this goes forward with Department of Justice and it delays him being confirmed, Kevin Warsh, it's kind of counterproductive for what you're trying to do in terms of changing the MO of the Fed up to this point. So I'm just trying to look for an off-ramp to get for you.
Well, it is and it isn't, Joe. You have to find out why a thing like that could happen, because if you have hundreds of projects like that, very few are like this, but if you had hundreds of projects like that, you have to find out why that happens. I mean, because we obviously don't do it right.
I'm going to jump in here a second. I want to just jump in here because, this is the dismissive nature, I feel like, of him there, about these things. I feel like this is important. I don't know how you guys are feeling. I'm just going to explain to you how I feel. I feel like this is very important. It's very important to understand how. So the difference between 25 million and 4 billion is a lot. I mean, so 25 million times 4 is 100 million. Okay. So there's 4 of those in 100 million, which means there would be 40 of those in a billion, which means there would be 4 times 40, which would be 160 25 millions in 4 billion. That's unbelievable. I used to do construction. I would do part of the budget of time it takes to do things, whatever. How that is so extraordinarily over the top that it can't have necessarily an off-ramp. It's we'll just dismiss Powell and just let it all go so that we could get our new guy in. No, we want to get our new guy in, and we want to figure out at the same time how come that this is 170 times over budget, right?
Yeah, and I did big projects as well, and we had project management. And if the project manager noticed that we had scope creep, which means things are costing more, but you don't have scope creep if you can't even afford the installation of insulation, right? But basically, you're supposed to stay calm and stop the bleeding, right? The 25 million to 4 billion is crazy, and you're supposed to investigate the root cause as to why that happened, right, Shady? I mean,
yes.
Was it scope creep? Was it poor initial estimating? Was it resource ineffectiveness? Was it external factors, supply and demand, supply chain? What is it? And then assess your current project status and impact. So they don't have good project management at that building for the Federal Reserve, or something more nefarious is happening. And I think it's something more nefarious is happening, Shady.
Con artist contractors. That's what Trump is pointing to. Donald Trump has the ability to sniff out a con artist contractor from 100 miles away. He can smell them coming. He's been dealing with these corrupt POSs in the the bowels of New York City his entire life. They are unbelievable shysters. And what they're doing right now is they are taking you for a ride. They're taking the country for a ride. It's very, very easy. $25 million is a lot of money. Okay. $4 billion is like you could feed the country for a year with like $4 billion.
So that goes to tell you, are they doing something to hedge their control with this money once Trump gets control of the Fed completely?
Yes. There's a big question of what in the hell are they doing
with all that money? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting, guys, because this is crazy because they're not being very transparent. Why did it go from $25 million to $4 billion?
I want another moment where Donald Trump is like walking through that building with Powell. I think that out of this whole year of his administration, that is by far like the most epic moment where he's standing there and oh my God, and Powell's there and Trump like reaches in his pocket. Remember this? He reaches in his pocket. He pulls out the paper. He says, I don't really understand why this is going to $3 billion. And Powell's like, oh no, it's not going to $3 billion. He's like, well, it says right here on the paper, you guys tore down this other building and started this other project and it says $3 billion. And then he's like shaking his head. I want more of that.
And the board approved 2.46 to 2.5 billion, roughly 30 to 35% overrun, because they thought it was going to be 1.9 billion, Shady.
It's all of a sudden 4.
Oh.
Your government works hard to steal your money.
Yeah, crazy. All right, back to President Trump.
Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Really, we have some great people in government that can do jobs. I built under budget, ahead of schedule. I'm doing
the triple restraint triangle for project management is on time, to spec, and to budget. That's exactly what project managers are supposed to do. What happened, Shady, right?
What happened?
That's the question.
That's a good one.
Ballroom now. It's a much bigger job than that. And it's going to cost, depending on finishes, like $300 million. It's a much bigger job than that's ahead of schedule. And I have lawsuits every week from all these people, all the do-gooders that stop progress in our country.
Well, I'm going to give Becky a chance, Mr. President, to get you to...
And you can have some extra time. I know my people said 20 minutes, but you can have some extra time.
That's good.
You can even put Andrew on the phone. You told me Andrew would not be there, and I said, I don't care.
That was last week. That was last week.
You could even put Andrew on.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Joe made a comment to me. When he tried to get me on, he said, I promise I'll have Andrew Ross-Hawkins. He will not be there.
He is there.
And you can put him on. It's okay.
I didn't say I'd have him. I said he's not in last week, but then you canceled because you were on the West Coast.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I'll chime in a minute.
There, and that's
he's going to be
so... Second. Becky,
but I don't mind if he's there. I like him. I respect him. He's just wrong on a lot of issues.
There you go.
Mr. President, thank you. Let's talk a little bit about what...
So he did nuke Squawk Box, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Hi, sir. Let's talk a little bit about what you expect from your next Fed president. There had been a lot of expectations. You've been very clear about wanting lower rates. But with the situation in Iran right now with higher oil prices, most people tell us that that's going to have to wait. The market itself is not anticipating lower rates or any rate cuts until at least the second half of this year. There's only a 41% chance or something of that, according to the market itself. Will you be disappointed if your new Fed chair, if he gets approved, doesn't cut rates right away?
I would. But let's talk about Iran first. Iran, if you
doesn't affect us.
The numbers now as I speak. I mean, the market's up. We're going to be at 50,000. That's where we were just a little while ago when it started. And when I hit 50,000 on the Dow and 7,000 on the S&P, I said, well, I hate to do this to everybody, but I'm going to have to journey down to a place called Iran and not make sure they don't have a nuclear weapon because they will blow up the world. You want to see a bad stock market? Try blowing up the Middle East and then Europe, and then they come for us, right? And we're not going to let that happen. So I said to my people, they're all gathered, all these wonderful guys, Scott Bessent, the whole group, Howard, they're all doing a good job. I said, fellas, I got a little bad news for you. I'm going to put a little wrinkle in your numbers. Why, sir? we're going down to a place called Iran, and we're going to make sure that they never have a nuclear weapon because they'll use it to blow up, because they're religious fanatics, and they will use that weapon to blow up the world, but they'll start with Israel in the Middle East, and we're not going to let that happen. And they said, wow, that's going to be bad. I said, yeah, it's going to hurt the market, and it's going to drive up the price of oil and whatever it is, but that's peanuts compared to what would happen if we let this happen. And I told them, 47 years other presidents wanted to do it. They never had the guts, the courage to do it. I said, we have to do it. And they understood that, very professional. They're great guys, great people. Jameson's doing such a great job, all of them. And so I said, we're going down and we're gonna do our little thing. And we did. And we've, knocked out, we've totally won the war. If you read the New York Times, you think, oh, gee, when are we surrendering? We have totally beat them militarily and otherwise. I mean, I wish you could hear the conversations we have with him, with them. We are victorious. If we left right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild. And they can't get the nuclear dust because it was obliterated by the B-2 bombers that went in. They never got the credit they should get. They've tried to get down there. We have cameras from Space Force on it all the time. They've tried to get down. They can't get down. That place was obliterated. They did such a good job. The left tries to make it, tries to demean all the time, like, oh, well, maybe it wasn't totally obliterated. It was, and they can't get it, or they would have tried to get it. But the fact is that we took this little journey, and if you would have told me that the Dow is almost, I'm looking at your thing, I mean, literally we're at 50,000. And if you would have told me that oil is at 90 as opposed to 200, I would be frankly surprised. And you know what is happening? Boats are finding other sources. They're going up to Texas and Louisiana. They're going to Alaska. They're going to other places. It's an amazing phenomenon. When there are problems, people find out how to take care of things. And the strait's very important. But
craziest
people
thing.
have found out. I mean, you're taking a look. Look at your numbers right now. I'm looking at where the stock market's up and where it's, look at that, S&P. The numbers are what they were when we started this whole thing. I thought they'd be down 20% or down a very substantial amount. Even when it was down more a couple of weeks ago, I was surprised. I thought it would be down much more, and I thought the oil would be much higher. And I'm very happy to say that it wasn't. And when it's over, and it will end, when it's over, they want it to be over immediately. And I just looked at a little chart. World War I, 4 years and 3 months. World War II, 6 years. Korean War, 3 years. Vietnam, 19 years. Iraq, 8 years. I'm 5 months. Okay, 5 months. I would have won Vietnam very quickly. I would have, if I were president, I would have won Iraq in the same amount of time that we won, because essentially we've won here. Okay, I mean, people can play games.
That's important. Jump in there.
We should have done better, no matter what.
That's important right there, and I've said that a number of times to you. What we've done, what we did in Iran, there's absolutely no reason we could not have done in Iraq. Recognize the significance of that. You did not need to send the troops up the gut of the Straits of Hormuz right through Kuwait and into 300 miles into Baghdad. No reason in hell to do that. That is a fool's errand. The whole thing was a debacle, just begging for people to blow us up. There's no reason that we couldn't have done exactly what it is that we have just done in Iran then if we would have had the political will, competence, and the right mission at hand. The reality was the mission at hand was not a moral mission. The mission at hand was something very, very deceitful. The mission at hand was to put American troops in the way of the firepower of Iran, Iraq, and the Middle East, so that no one would really ever be able to orient themselves to know which way was up and which way they were coming from. How is it that the Iranian Soleimani engineered the roadside bomb that destroyed so many American lives in Iraq? Get the picture? It's because the Iranian regime was being controlled by the globalist order, who needed to destroy every generation for this globalist order to currently manipulate and keep America in check. You got to destroy another generation of boys. You got to go through to the mountains and the hills and the valleys of America, and you got to pull out these amazing America-loving patriots, and then you got to put them through the ringer in a Middle Eastern war to the bloody sands of Iraq, so that you can destroy another group of strong Americans, so that America never has a foot up against the rest of the world. They've done it for 100 years. The Federal Reserve is partially responsible for World War I and World War II. And what we're all looking at right now is an orientation, not an experiment, an operation, an orientation operation to turn the world back upside right so that common sense could rule today, so that normalcy wins. You don't just say, oh, well, the bully's going to get a nuclear weapon and have the nuclear weapon, and we're going to capitulate to the bully that has the nuclear weapon for infinity, and there's not a damn thing you could do about it. Yes, there is. You just saw it. So the world, the old world, the world that we lived in under Bush and Vietnam and a number of other skirmishes, Korea, and the new world, the world we're moving into of competence and things that go the right way are clashing right now.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead and look at this post 489. U.S. taxpayers are paying for it all. Paris Accord equals scam, trillions. Red Cross equals scam, billions. Foreign aid equals scam, trillions. War equals scam, trillions. On and on and on. Who audits where the money actually goes? Who actually receives the money? The U.S. taxpayers funding the very people we are engaged in taking down. Slush funds everywhere. Do you think George Soros pays for Antifa out of his own pocket? The hole is deep. Feel sick yet?
Wow. Thank you.
Yep. Here we go.
Perfect.
If I did it in 1 week, they should have said, they'd say, we should have done better. Look at Venezuela. I took it over in 45 minutes. It was basically a 45-minute. And by the way, a very strong military country. And we took it over in a day, but let's be nice. But we basically took it over in 45 minutes. We took it over during the attack in 45 minutes.
But Mr. President,
and they would say, I'm surprised I haven't said it, that you should have done it in 30 minutes. It took too long, you know. So it's tough. But we can't let traitors, we can't let traitors like Schumer put pressure on you where they say, we want out. Think how bad that is. I'm negotiating with these people, and they're telling us, we have to get out now, we have to get out now, we have to get now. And they were in a war for 18 years. They were in a war for, think of that, Vietnam, 19 years, Iraq, 8 years. So
right.
I want to make a good deal. I'm not going to be rushed. I have all the time in the world. I want to make not a good deal. I want to make a great deal. I don't want to do this, go through this. And, you know, I mean, if you look at this, what we've suffered in terms of losses, we lost 13 men, and that's terrible. I wish we didn't lose one. But if somebody would have said, we've done this and obliterated that country, obliterated it, and we lost 13 men, people would have said, that's not possible to have done that. It's not possible.
Right.
So we've done a great job, and I don't want to be rushed by people that are really treasonous as far as I'm concerned, where they're, and it's just, you know, I watch this low IQ guy, Hakeem Jeffries. He's a totally low IQ person, and he's always ranting and raving, oh, this war is so terrible, terrible. They shouldn't be saying that when we're in the midst of a negotiation, because it does hurt us somewhat. It gives the other side some hope, and I don't want them to have hope.
Mr. President, I wanted to ask you about Anthropic, if I could, for a second, because this is a company that your administration has declared a supply chain risk. And I want to understand the determination for that. There's a view by some that it's political, but more importantly, at the same time that this is happening, reportedly, the NSA and other parts of the government are using Claude, which, of course, is the large language model of Anthropic, and how you square that.
Well, Anthropic is a group of very smart people, but they started telling our military how to operate, and we didn't want that. And they tend to be on the left, radical left, but we get along with them. In fact, they came to the office. They came to the White House a few days ago, and we had some very good talks with them, and I think they're shaping up. They're very smart, and I think they can be of great use. I like smart people. I like high IQ people, and they definitely have high IQs, you know? It's one of those things, and I think we'll get along with them just fine.
So do you think a deal will be made so that Anthropic will be allowed to be used inside the Defense Department in the future?
We want the smartest people. Now, in the meantime, we replaced Anthropic with somebody else. You know who they are, and they're very, very smart people. Sam Altman, the very, very smart group. We have a lot of smart groups. We have some brilliant people. We have the most brilliant people in the world. President Xi told me that. He said Silicon Valley. He called it Silicon Valley. during a conversation, have a great relationship with him. He said, you have the smartest people in the world. And we do. You take a look at what's happening with Jensen and all of these people. And it's a great honor to be working. I think Tim Cook, I see he's retiring. I wrote a piece about him today. And I got to know him very well. He's a fantastic person, did an unbelievable job. And I say it respectfully, but if Steve Jobs had lived and ran the company, it might have done good, but it wouldn't have done, I think, nearly as good as the job Tim has done. And I got to work with Tim, so I really know it. I know what I'm talking about. He's a very unusual guy. He gets things done.
Mr. President, yeah, we did read your entire Truth Social post. I just want to return for 1 second and make an analogy here. You saw what inflation did to the Biden legacy and administration. So 22% price increases. By the time he was leaving, it was down to about where it is now, about 3%. But not a single. It was down to 5%. It wasn't down. Well, or 3, but not a single. And the reason it was down was because I had won the election, and it started falling after I won the election, and I started getting prices down from right after November 5th. If you needed to prevent that from happening, let's say Chair Warsh thought, for whatever reason, there's some type of energy shock. Who knows with the blockade? Let's say that things got too hot. At that point, just to make sure there was no inflation, would you allow him to raise rates or not cut rates? Would there ever be a period where you could see that was something that a Fed chair needed to do? And if you said he might have an office right near yours, he might not want an office right next to yours, sir. I don't know. After what happened to Jay Powell, he might want to be across in those new digs, maybe. Maybe I'd like him next to me. Actually, it's not a bad idea. Maybe Jay Powell did us a big service. And I call him too late. He's just too late. He's always too late, except when it came to before the election. But that didn't quite work out well for him. So the answer is, I want Kevin. I think Kevin's great. He's central casting in a true sense. Okay, I think he's going to do a great job. Yeah, if there's time for, I've been in favor of interest rate rises to stop inflation. I think it sort of is effective. But there's one thing, and nobody ever talks about it but me, unfortunately, so I'm sure it's not correct, but I think it is.
Did he just kind of say, I'm always wrong until I'm right?
I think he was trying to like pad that out, but say it.
Wow.
We should have the lowest interest rate in the world. When I was a young guy growing up, we always had the lowest interest rate worldwide. We always did. And then 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it started where Switzerland and other people had lower rates than us. And I just had a thing with, if you take a look at some of the, let's call them like elite countries. They're only elite because we allow them to walk away with $30 billion and $40 billion a year, but I don't do that so much anymore. I sort of put a clamp on that with the tariffs and charges that we charge them because they were elite because they're making billions and billions of dollars from the United States, larger, and other reasons, and they run a good operation. But it's easier to run it good when you make that much money, where we have these massive deficits with, you take a look at some of the countries, but Switzerland is one. They talk, oh, yes, we are a small and brilliant. Well, they're brilliant because they pay us almost nothing. Now they pay a little bit. They should pay much more. We'll get that up a little bit. But if you take a look at Denmark, you take a look at all these countries, you think of them so good. They pay such a low interest rate. Well, if we charge them, and what happened with me is I charged some of them, and they squawked like you wouldn't believe it. They called, and we are a small country. All of a sudden, I realized they're not elite. We're elite. We're being sucked dry, and we can't do that. And you'll see that. We had a little setback with the Supreme Court. They said I can charge tariffs, but I have to do it a different way. And because of what they did, we have to pay back $160 billion. All they had to do is add one sentence, just one sentence. And that's, you don't have to pay anything taken in thus far back. But because they didn't add, and by the way, it was a close call, too. There were justices that were powerful that I was right on the tariffs. But because we lost by just 2 votes, just little vote, 2 votes, we have to pay back $165 billion. They could have, with a little one sentence, you don't have to pay back tariffs that have already been received. You start from this point. and you do it a different way. So we're doing it a different way. We're going to end up with the same. Actually, we'll end up with bigger numbers, actually, but it's a little more unwieldy, but it's the way it's been done. But it's so sad
Mr. President,
that the Supreme Court didn't want to save our country with one sentence, $165 billion, and we're giving a lot of that money back to people that hate our country. So I'm not happy with the Supreme Court, I'll be honest with you, okay?
Mr. President, on that topic, there's a whole number of very large companies, including Apple and Amazon and others, that have not sought reimbursements yet for the tariffs, meaning they haven't tried to collect refunds. And from what I understand, part of the reason that they have waited is because there is a worry about, frankly, offending you. Would you find it offensive for them to try to collect a refund?
I think it's brilliant if they don't do that. I actually think if they don't do that, they got to know me very well. I'm very honored by what you just said.
That's the opposite of what you thought he'd say.
I will tell you that, because I'm looking to make this country strong. Supreme Court could have helped us. Now they have birthright citizenship. They'll probably rule against us. No country in the world has it. It's horrible for our country. And I just see it, I see some of these Republicans that are nominated by me asking real bad questions, and looks like maybe we're going to lose that one too. Look what happened with NIL. They destroyed college sports, the court system, destroyed. So hard to put that one back, Humpty Dumpty, so hard to put that one back together. We had 150 years of rulings and everything else, and they had such a great system. It was a scholarship system. You get free college if you're a good athlete. You get this, you get that. And it took care of every sport. Fencing, not only football. Now it's all football, and the football is bringing down colleges because they're losing. Did you see Penn State lost $500 million last year? Yeah, Florida State lost $450 million last year. They can't lose that kind of money. They don't make that kind of money. And the court system, a person that never had anything to do with sports, a very liberal-leaning Democrat, liberal, she decided that the sports system that was in place for 150 years is no good. She never went to a game before. It is no good. And she said it's unconstitutional. And unfortunately, NCAA didn't even appeal it. I've won a lot of cases on appeal, to be honest with you. We got some really bad judges, but I've won a lot of cases on appeal. Some great people. We have, fortunately, some great people in the appellate courts. And I've won cases. They didn't appeal it. And
Mr.
because of that, college sports is a disaster right now. You have many people staying in college because they're going to make more money than they would if they went into baseball, Major League Baseball, or the NFL. They can make more money, a 7-year freshman. We have a 7-year freshman. It's crazy what they've done. And this is a person that never went to a game, acknowledged, not familiar with sports, but she overruled everything. She said, it's all unconstitutional, start all over again. And thank goodness we have people like Randy Levine and others that Coach Saban, who's so great. We have a lot of people got together, but it's very hard to put that one together. I will tell you right now, it's a tough one, but they're going to do the best. But if the courts had common sense, they would have done something that could have been very easy to do and made everybody happy. If they had common sense, we would not be paying back almost $200 billion in tariffs so stupidly. In many cases, the enemy is getting this money. The people that have hated the United States, we're giving them checks for billions of dollars. It's so sad to see.
That's 100% true.
It would be nice if the court system and the Supreme Court could have done things a little bit differently. Very sad. Actually, it's very sad. It's called no common sense. And look at the rulings we're getting on illegal immigrants. I mean, they're coming in murderers and everything else. We have a many-time murderer. It's really hard to get them out of our country. But we don't stop.
Mr. President, just in terms of putting things together, there's a story earlier this week about United potentially wanting to buy American. Senators from both sides of the aisle have warned that is a step too far. You should not be putting these two large airlines together. Have you thought about that proposition?
I just heard it 2 days ago, and I know them both very well. I don't like it. No, I don't mind mergers. I think I'd love somebody to buy Spirit, as an example. Spirit's in trouble. And I'd love somebody to buy Spirit. It's 14,000 jobs. And maybe the federal government should help that one out. I tell my people. But But with American, it's doing fine, and United's doing very well. I know the United people, they're doing very well. I don't like having them merge. It's just like all of these aerospace defense companies and aerospace companies. We used to have hundreds of them, and now we have like a very small number. And you get one bid, and it makes them lazy. And I came down very hard on them 2-3 months ago because it takes too long. We have the best equipment in the world. We have the best, the Patriot systems, the Tomahawk systems. We have the best stuff in the world by far. The other day during this crazy war, we had 111. There's a dispute as to 111 and 101. I want to be exactly accurate with you people, because otherwise you'll read stories that I exaggerated. We had 101 or 111. Nobody's able to get it right, but the result was the same. Missile shot at one of our great assets out in that area, a ship. And out of the 111 missile shot, every single one of them was shot down, going at 3,000 miles an hour, right? Not easy. It's like a needle in a haystack. They used to call it impossible to do. So they go 3,000 miles an hour. Every single one of them was shot down, mostly by Patriots, but every one of them was shot down. Think of it, 111 missiles coming at you, and every one of those missiles is now lying at the bottom of the sea, like the Navy, like the Iran's Navy is lying at the bottom of the sea. It's amazing, but we got to make it faster. So I have a push. Raytheon took billions of dollars, I don't even want to tell you how many because I'm embarrassed, for stock buybacks instead of buying plants. So I made it illegal for them to do that. No defense company. They have to build new plants. So we have plants. Raytheon now is building 5. They're all building, Lockheed's building 3 or 4. They're all building plants because we need speed. We don't want, you order a Patriot and they say, we'll have it to you, sir, in 3.5 years. We want it in a week. And that's where we are now. They're building plants all over the country. And they're going to do well for doing it.
We appreciate all your time. If you have time, I want to ask you one more question.
Go ahead.
We have allies now in the Middle East. Maybe some are, we can maybe count on more than allies in other parts of the world.
That's true. They're much better allies than NATO, that I can tell you.
The UAE asking the U.S. for some type of financial lifeline. I don't know if it's a solvency problem. It's more of a liquidity problem. And I know we did, Secretary Bessent did something with Argentina that worked out. Is there some type of swap possible, currency swap with the UAE to help if they need it? And do you think there would be backlash because it's such a or perceived to be such a wealthy country? Is that under consideration?
It is, but it's been a good country. It's been a good ally of ours. And, these are unusual times. They were more than anybody else. I mean, it was shocking because we thought that they'd shoot missiles at Israel, but not every other country in the area. And, UAE got hit with 1,400 missiles. Now, fortunately, they had the Patriots and they had a great defense, and they were able to shoot down most of them. But they did get hit hard. They were hit the hardest of the group, actually. And they're really led by incredible people. And, yeah, I mean, I'm surprised because they are really rich. They invested a year ago. I went there and I got them to invest $1 trillion in the United States. They're building a tremendous plant in a great state called Oklahoma, aluminum plant, melting plant, beautiful, incredible, it'll be the best anywhere in the world. They're very good for this country. So, yeah, if I could help them, I would. I mean, we're helping them much more with what we're doing with the war because, the bully of the Middle East was Iran. Iran was a bully and bullied all of these countries around, and they threatened them all the time. And they threatened about the Hormuz Strait. They threatened, sometimes some people call it the Strait of Hormuz, which is actually a more beautiful wording. But they threatened them all the time. So we're really doing a big job there. Those 5 countries have been great, and Israel's been great. Israel's been a great partner for us. It's like they say, we're the big brother, they're the small brother, but the small brother's been very helpful to us. They've displayed great courage. If UAE had a problem, I find it hard to believe, but if they had a problem, we would be there for them. Yeah,
are the Saudis impatient now, or do they want? Are they on the other side? Were they?
Well, he's another great guy. He gave me the famous line that I use a little bit. He said, A year and a half ago, sir, you were a dead country. Now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world. He said that to me, and it's true. We were a dead country. We had a guy that wasn't respected. We had a country that was laughed at. He couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. Forget about down. He couldn't walk up a flight. But he was falling all over the place. I have to be careful because if I do trip or fall, it's got to be the biggest. That's why when I get out of those planes, I walk nice and slowly. I'm not looking to set any speed records. But we had an embarrassing country. We had a country that was going to fail. If this country would have failed if I didn't win this election, I'll tell you, I've had many people tell me that. Many people that aren't necessarily of the Republican persuasion or MAGA, but we've had many people say it, that this country would have failed if I didn't win this election. You people wouldn't be looking at the numbers you're looking at right now.
So
I can tell
the
you that.
Saudis are not, are they taking it economically on the chin to the point where they want you to end this, or are they saying
I think
finish
they're doing
the job?
great. I spoke to him yesterday. He wasn't asking for anything. He wants to. They're fighting. You know, they're helping us. They're helping us on the straight. They're helping us all over. The ones that aren't helping are NATO. You know, NATO said to me, "No, we'll send somebody as soon as it's over." I said, "That's not really. You know, we don't need them. We'll never need them. Actually, they'll need us. They need us desperately because they're a paper tiger." But I've said that. By the way, I've said that for a long time. Before I was in politics, I used to say it. I was not in politics, but I sort of enjoyed it, and I liked watching things. And I always said they were a paper tiger. And
well,
Europe,
we will.
you know, Europe has to straighten themselves out. Between energy and immigration, they have to straighten themselves out, or they're not going to have a Europe anymore.
Yep. We could talk NATO, but I know you've obviously got a lot to do. We will be watching for any Truth Social posts about the negotiations, whether you hear what's happening. But thanks for all your time this morning, Mr. President. We greatly appreciate it.
Wow.
Well, thank you, Becky. Thank you. And Andrew, I'm glad you were on the phone. I'm really glad. Even though Joe totally misrepresented, I don't mind that at all. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll talk soon.
Good to hear your voice.
He's a kidder. Kidders like the kid. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you very
we'll talk
much.
to you soon. Join us now.
Whoa, too funny, Shady Groove. You know, interesting that he mentioned Humpty Dumpty, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It definitely is interesting.
So the biggest misconception, I think Poussaint was talking about this too. It's a rhyme explicitly about an egg, allegedly, but nowhere in the original or early versions say that Humpty Dumpty was an egg. That association actually comes through later, mainly from Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass in 1871, Shady.
Oh, that is interesting too.
Where Humpty Dumpty appears as a literal egg-shaped character. And there was a famous, drawing of it. But before that is often represented as a riddle. But isn't it interesting that it's Through the Looking Glass, Lewis Carroll's 1871 novel?
Nice little tidbit there.
Did we ever get Through the Looking Glass posts? Did we ever get Looking Glass posts?
What do you mean, did we get them?
Did Q ever talk about the Looking Glass?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Very interesting.
I was completely missing your point.
Yeah, Through the Looking Glass. Yeah, pretty interesting. Wow. I guess my mind works a little different sometimes, but very interesting. I'm sure that's just a coinky-dink.
I'm sure it's a coincidence.
All right.
Wow. Competent. Yeah, you're excited about that, right? Yeah.
I was until you started talking.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. We need counseling. Yeah, he didn't understand my Looking Glass comment. Yeah. Okay. We'll talk about it. We're going to talk about it at counseling tonight, Shady.
Yeah, he doesn't communicate well.
I do.
Not really.
I do. Wow, guys.
Apologize for that.
Amazing. I love what's happening right now, and I'm glad I listened to that whole thing, Shady Groove, because you're going to get bits and pieces, but I like to hear the whole thing.
Well, the point of the matter is, you want to hear Donald Trump give them a hard time because like I said, the last time that he was on there, they were not very kind to him, and so I thought he was very gentle considering the way that they treated him last time he was in.
Yeah. Wow.
I was annoyed with him. But I'm now I'm a little bit better.
So let's look at the post real quick. Through the Looking Glass projection, D's can't lose control over a black population. At some point, the Great Awakening will occur. whereby these false local national black leaders and corrupt and paid off to help keep the black population in need. D's formed the Confederate States Against Freeing Slaves. D's formed the KKK. HRC's mentor is who? Right, Bird. What happens if the truth about Haiti is released? Do D's lose majority of the vote through the looking glass? They rely on the MSM to keep the narrative going, but the tech is entrenching on their own controls. They missed this in 2016 and desperately attempting to censor now due to the CIA cash infusions. This will fail. Pretty interesting.
Much like all of their other antics.
We got them this time, Shady.
Yeah, they're going to get him again tomorrow, too.
We got him.
They're going to always get him.
Yeah. All right, guys. The man in the arena is Donald J. Trump. We love him. Shady Groove. I'll see you tomorrow because it's Tuesday, April 21st, and tomorrow is...
Tomorrow would be Hump Day, Trump Day, Wednesday.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for supporting independent patriot journalism. I haven't seen a lot of Rumble rants coming in the last few days. We need you guys on this wall. Thank you so much. We are here for you.
Yeah, we really need your help, guys. Or go to Give, Send, Go. I did see a couple donations there. Thank you guys so much. Go givesendgo.com/helpmgshow, mg.show/donate. Go there. PayPal, Cash App. At Real MG Show on both platforms. See you guys tomorrow.
Yeah.
Built the towers in the dark, pull the strings for 1,000 years. Ancient families, black veil rituals, trading souls for power and fear. Deep state snakes in the marble halls, plotters in the boardrooms and their evil aims, peddling lies on every screen while the people bleed in their wicked game. But one man stepped into the spotlight's glare, stared them down, he's lit the flame. He looked them dead in the eye and said, "You're done," and the whole damn system shook in fear of his name. No more games, no more chains, the mask is ripped, the truth remains. He's leading the fight for the free in the arena, battling for you and me, against the cabal, the bloodlines, the machine in the night. We the people are rising, we're taking for the oath that he swore. They own the banks, they own the courts, they own the ink that writes the news, but they don't own the fire in the hearts of the millions who refuse. Suspicious silence, secret flights, Hollywood's dirty little throne, all crumbling now. Plan was always crystal clear. Boldly leading the fight for the free, Trump in the arena, shielding you and me against the evil dark forces, the machine in the night. We the people are rising, we're taking back the light. Rumor says the storm is breaking through from the ashes of treason. We're reborn as new stands for us all. He's showing victories in our heads. Trump and the patriots rewriting the plan. It's all crashing, bloodlines on the run. The republic is rising with the morning sun. They can stand the storm, hear the thunder roll from sea to shining sea. We're taking back control. This is our country. This is our fight. He'll be in our hearts forever. We win tonight.
www.mg.show. Boom.